Good morning to all. Dear
Morning, sir.
participants, dear participants, today I'm going to explain the uh, CFA means confirmatory factor analysis and structural equation modeling. Basically, we conduct structural equation modeling in two parts. First, we find the validity of the measurement model or confirmatory factor analysis, and then test the structural equation modeling. So there are there are two things in a structural equation modeling. One, the CFA, basically it is interdependence technique, and structural equation modeling, it is the dependence technique. Okay, so the multivariate technique, yesterday I told you there are two types of technique, multivariate technique. One is dependence technique. Dependence technique means we uh, find the relationship between the two variables, okay, and test the hypothesis also. So in a structural equation modeling, basically it's a dependence technique, and we find relationship between the exogenous and endogenous construct and test the hypothesis also. And this the another confirmatory factor analysis, it is interdependence technique, and same as the exploratory factor analysis. The only difference in exploratory factor analysis and confirmatory factor analysis, it means whatever construct or questions we are taking to perform the confirmatory factor analysis, we take all the construct and variable in advance. Okay, so in a confirmatory factor analysis, it is interdependence technique. We do not find the relationship between one construct with another construct, and we do not test the hypothesis. So we test hypothesis only in structural equation modeling. So we complete our structural equation modeling in 6 stages. The first 4 stages related to the confirmatory factor analysis or measurement model. And once measurement model valid, then we move to the stage 5 and the uh, stage 6. Okay, so yesterday I told you about the exploratory factor analysis. Basically, the purpose of exploratory factor analysis to data reduction and summarization. And after that, we specify our model, or we can use other dependence techniques such as independent t-test and ANOVA, multiple regression analysis. We can use these construct to uh, find the relationship among the endogenous and exogenous variables. Okay, now in the the first stage, define the individual construct. So I am taking the case study of theory of plant behavior. This is my case study. Through this theory of plant behavior, I will perform CFA and as well as structural equation modeling. So the theory of plant behavior, the objective of this theory to know the buying behavior or buying pattern of the respondents. So I have taken the original model given by the agent, and it has 5 components to measure the buying behavior of a respondent or a person. One, that is attitude towards purchasing, and the second is the subjective norm, perceived behavioral control, purchase intention, and purchase behavior. It's a our model. Okay, and then, so how, on the basis of a theory of plant behavior, we develop our research instrument, or we borrow same research instrument, Asian theory of plant behavior, and the all the 5 components, whether it is attitude, subjective norm, perceived behavior, purchase, has some questions like so research instrument for measuring tourist buying behavior. So this scale can be used to measuring the buying behavior pattern of buyers, and the buying patterns of the हेलो सर, वो अभी नमस्कार सर, अभी आया नहीं है वो, अगर मैं भेज जी 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 ठीक है सर, ठीक है, 2 बजे भेज दूंगा सर. And they I'm using this research instrument measuring the tourist buying behavior. We can measure the buying behavior of FMCG goods, buying behavior of other products also. So this research instrument I am applying to measure the tourist buying behavior. Okay, so attitude towards visit Simla, it's a hypothetical study. So attitude, for measuring the attitude basically it's a construct, and we can measure this construct by using 4 questions related to the attitude. These are the 4 questions. So through these questions we can measure the attitude of the tourist. Okay, the first is I select travel destination in the future. Then I think that visiting Shimla is a good attitude. I think that visiting Shimla is safe. I am willing to spend a little more money to Shimla visit. So basically these are the questions: measured variables or observed variables, or another name manifest variables or indicators. Okay, same as this another component or construct subjective norm. We can measure subjective norm through these 3 questions. And pursuit behavior control 4 questions, and purchase intention 3 questions, and purchase behavior this. And it's a we measured all these 17 questions in a strongly disagree to strongly agree 7-point scale, and this is my original questionnaire. Okay, so we distribute this questionnaire to the respondent or tourist, and they give their opinion. Like the first question, I select Shimla as my travel destination in future. It's simply a statement, and you may agree this statement or disagree. It's a just perception, nothing right or wrong. So one person may be agree this statement and another may be disagree. So all the questions, perception based questions to measuring the buying behavior pattern of tourists in hill destination. Okay, these are the questions. Now first part, we find the measurement model validity. This is my measurement model, CFA, confirmatory factor analysis. So I will draw this picture in a Amos graphic and then analyze the measurement model validity. Okay, so there are 5 components: attitude, subjective norm, pursuit behavior, purchase intention, and purchase behavior. It is same as the exploratory factor analysis. How? So in a factor matrix, we write all these things uh, in a factor matrix. It's a like this is my factor matrix. So I am just drawing the factor matrix. So factor matrix we use in EFA. There are 17 variables, 81, 82. These are basically questions. Attitude 81, second question 82, 83. These are the questions, and in this factor matrix there are 5 component. 5 component means one is attitude, subjective norm, perceived behavior control, and purchase intention and purchase behavior. Variable means V, and attitude, so attitude, then subjective norm, and third perceived behavioral control, and purchase intention and purchase uh, behavior. And the questions of V means variables. So 81, 82, 83, 83, 84. This question related to attitude. And the second construct subjective norm. So SN1, SN2, SN3. These questions are related to, these are the factor loadings. Okay. and the third PBC1, PBC2, PBC3, PBC4. These four questions related to pursuit behavior control, and these are the factor loading. And another component, purchase intention, PI1, PI2, PI3. These three questions related to purchase intention, and three questions related to purchase behavior, PB1, PB2, PB3. Okay, these questions related to the purchase behavior. So only three questions. So this diagram, basically the attitude is this. So it's the attitude, it's a factor, the attitude, subjective norm, this is subjective norm, PBC. So this factor matrix I have written in the form of the path diagram. It's just in the you can see it is nothing new, it is same as the EFA, the factor matrix. Okay. So in the first stage, we define each construct, means attitude, and attitude has the four variables or questions. Now, one thing we should know that in the EFA or CFA, we treat all the construct as exogenous. We do not distinguish that this construct is endogenous or this one exogenous. So we treat all the construct as a exogenous, exogenous independent, exogenous construct, exogenous construct. Okay. So I told you, when we conduct the exploratory factor analysis, we create the summated scale, means attitude 1, attitude subjective norm. We take the mean of the all questions and create the 5 variable, 5 another variable like attitude, subjective norm, pursuit behavior, purchase intention, purchase behavior. Okay, and then we take the mean of these and create the another variable, that is subjective norm, and we take the mean of 4 variables and create the another variable PBC in our SPSS sheet. So it is the purpose of the exploratory factor analysis. So here we are not testing any hypothesis. We are not finding a relationship among the exogenous and endogenous variable. Although we treat all the variables or the as a exogenous variable in case of the CFA. In a CFA, all the construct are the exogenous construct, and same purpose in EFA, we treat all the construct as the exogenous purpose. Now second, I told you, after conducting the factor analysis, we find which one is endogenous and which one is exogenous, and then find the relationship between the endogenous and exogenous, because EFA is interdependence technique. Its purpose to creating this construct, and after creating all the construct, we can use in a dependence technique. We can use independent t-test, analysis of variance, multiple regression analysis, and so on. Same as in CFA, its purpose to find the validity all the exogenous construct, and in second stage we find which one is exogenous and which one is endogenous. So it's a the exogenous, all the construct in a CFA we treat it as the exogenous construct, and then after that, once we find this measurement model is valid, then we find in the next stage, the stage 5, we specify our model. We specify our model means we find which one is exogenous and which one is endogenous, and then we specify our model like this. Now here we can see the term attitude, subjective norm, and pursuit behavior, control. All 3 constructs are exogenous construct. while purchase intention and purchase behavior endogenous construct. So it's a specification of the model, structural model. Now we in this uh, stage, the stage 3, stage 6, the structural model validity, and we can test the hypothesis. Here we test the hypothesis and find the relationship between endogenous and exogenous. Like the my hypothesis here, I can develop my hypothesis H0 and H1. H0 means there is no relationship between attitude and purchase intention. Okay, but the alternate hypothesis says there is a relationship between attitude and purchase intention, or we can say attitude influence uh, purchase intention. So we can write same hypothesis in many ways. So same as this another hypothesis we can develop for. So this is my H1 means alternate H1A, H1B, and H1C, and H1D. Okay, so in the structural equation modeling, we test the hypothesis and find the relationship between the endogenous and exogenous, whether the relationship between the two positive or negative. Okay, so this is about the concept of the CFA and structural equation modeling. Now I'm showing you how. Now question is how to find the validity, how to find the validity of this model. So this you can see this slide. Okay. Now the assessing measurement model validity. So we find the validity of the measurement model once our measurement model valid. Then in stage 5 we specify our model, and then in stage 6 again we find the validity of structural model. Okay, so we will use two terms: measurement model. Validity of measurement model means validity of confirmatory factor analysis. Okay, and second, validity of structural model. When I talk about structural model, it means it's a dependence technique. I already told you in a multivariate technique. So there are two types of uh, we use dependence technique, means structural equation modeling is dependence technique. We test the hypothesis, and as well as we find a relationship among exogenous and endogenous purpose, while the confirmatory factor analysis, it is interdependence technique. In a confirmatory factor analysis or measurement model, we just find validity and we do not find a relationship among the exogenous and endogenous variables, and we don't test a hypothesis in confirmatory factor analysis. Okay. Now there are two approaches to there are two broad approaches. One is we find examine the goodness of fit indices. We will obtain results from the Amos output of goodness of fit indices, whether my model good or not, fit or not. And second is the evaluate the construct validity and reliability of the specific measurement model. Okay, so we report two results in our research paper or thesis. One is results of goodness of fit indices, and as well as construct validity and reliability of our measurement or structural model. Okay, now I'm talking about here measurement model. So I will find the construct validity and reliability, and then goodness of fit index. Now the construct validity, how will we find the construct validity? So there are four things in a construct validity. One is the convergent validity, discriminant validity, nomological validity, and phase validity. Phase validity or content validity we find through literature review. It's a not numerical or a statistical value to find the phase or content validity. So we whatever scale we are using, research instrument or construct or questions, whatever questions we are taking in our study to perform the structural equation modeling, all the scales or the construct should be there should be some supported documents needed. So so anyone can ask you how did you develop this research instrument and from where did you take this construct. So we should write the all the construct in a chronological order, that we have taken these variables or questions or these questions from these researchers. So in a structural equation modeling, we should keep in mind we will not make question from our side. So basically, whatever questions we are taking, it should be theoretically, all the questions should be theoretically based. We will not frame questions for ourselves for performing the structural equation. Whatever questions we are taking, we will all the questions should be valid. It should be valid and tested research instrument we will take. So there are three things I told you. One is we borrow the same scale and perform the structural equation modeling, and second we modify, and third we can develop new scale. But new scale will be developed when existing literature does not give any hint about the particular phenomena, how to measure this thing. When there is no literature review available, then in that case we will develop our new scale, because it is not easy to develop the new scale. It takes time to develop the new scale. So the construct validity can be found through the, basically we report the result of convergent validity and discriminant validity in our research papers or thesis. Convergent validity, there are three things to find the convergent validity. One is factor loading, then standardized factor loading, second average variance expected, and third construct reliability. Construct reliability and reliability of the instrument, it is different. So the we find validity and reliability. Validity means whether all the whatever questions we are taking to measuring the particular phenomena, whether these questions sufficiently measure the particular concept or not. For example, I want to measure the tangibility of the service organization. So whatever questions I am taking to measure the tangibility of the organization, whether they are whether these questions can measure the concept of tangibility or not. So validity is this. And reliability, the concept of reliability means whether my scale research instrument is giving a result consistent repeatedly or not. So same as the weighing machine. If I am measuring my weight on weighing machine and it is giving 75 kg, and after 1 hour again I measure my weight and it gives 80 kg, and after 2 hours the weight is 65. So I will say this research instrument, this machine not reliable. It is not giving repeatedly or consistently same. So this research instrument is not reliable. So reliability can be checked through the Cronbach alpha. Means in each construct reliability we can find if Cronbach alpha value the more than 0.7, then we can say this scale reliable. Otherwise, if its value less than, we will say the scale is not reliable. Okay. Now, convergent validity, in each model, we find the convergent validity and discriminant validity. Okay. Now, There are, I told you, there are two approaches. One is examining the goodness of fit indexes. So these value, examining the goodness of fit indices, we obtain all the five values from the Amos output. Okay. So for if my C min by degree of freedom less than 2, then I will say model is fit. And secondly, goodness of fit indices, there are three things. One is absolute fit measures, means we can take GFI value. There are other value also available: GFI, goodness of fit index, AGFI, adjusted goodness of fit index. One value we take from the absolute fit measures, one value we take from incremental fit measures, and one value from parsimonious fit measures. Although all the measures give three or four values, okay, so we take only one value which is higher. So the absolute fit measures, its value should be greater than 0.95. So in the all the values we will obtain from the Amos output. The first is the C min, means this C min by degree of freedom. This is this value. So C min by degree of freedom, it should be less than the 2 theoretically, and ideally it should be less than 2. If it is less than 2, then it's okay. Now the second is absolute fit measure. This value should be greater than 0.95, because the observed value minus the estimated value. For example, observed value 1 and estimated value should be near to observed value, like 0.97, 0.95. It means less error. Only error is 0.05. If this value away from this, like 1 minus 0.6, so the error is very high. 0.4 error is very high, 40% error, which is not good for our model. So the value of absolute fit measures, incremental fit measures, and parsimonious, all the three values should be greater than 0.95. And the other one badness of a fit index, RMSEA, root mean square error approximation value, should be less than 0.08. If all the values, if we obtain all the values, then we can say our measurement model valid. And second stage, we find the, in the second stage we find the convergent validity or construct validity. So the convergent validity, how will we find the convergent validity? From the first method is standardized, the standardized factor loading. Okay. So in the standardized factor loading, these are the values. All the values we will obtain from the Amos output. The attitude, it's a first construct, and it has 4 questions. So all the values we can see here. In a the standardized value, theoretically it should be greater than 0.714. All the standardized factor loading value should be greater than theoretically 0.714. Okay. So here it's greater than 0.714, greater than 0.714. So we can see each construct each constructs variables factor loading greater than 0.715. So there is no issue of convergent validity. It means all the measuring the concept of converging the concept of subjective norm. This is the first the find the value of first method to find the value of convergent validity. Second is the average variance expected. Sometimes it is not necessary always we obtain all the values greater than all the standardized value greater than 0.714. Sometimes the value may one or two value may be less than the 0.714. It doesn't mean that our model not good or not fit. So the another criteria, if we obtain one value, for example, instead of a 0.777, my value my value 0.623. Okay, it is not greater than 0.714, but it is less than 0.714. Now the second method is average variance extracted. Average variance extracted. Now I will square, when we square the correlation, it becomes the variance. We square of this factor loading, square this factor loading, square this factor loading, square this factor loading, and then add all the squared factor loading and divide by the number of items. So items means 4 questions. Then the average variance value should be greater than the zero point 0.5 or greater than 50%. If it is greater than average variance expected greater than 50%, then there is no issue of convergent validity. It means my model constructs convergent validity good. Okay, so the how to find it? So we square this, square of this, square of this, square, and then divide by this. So in the all the five construct validity, we can see the convergent validity greater than 50%. In the first construct, it is 61.97. Second construct 75.67. Third construct 65.44, 70.37, and fifth construct 67.5. How did we calculate? We just square all the factor loading, add, and then divide by number of items. So here 4 items. So I divide all the summation of variance, and then divide by number of items 4. Here 3 items. So I will take square of this, square of this, square of this, add and divide by 3, because here 3 items. Okay, this is the formula of to find the manually average variance expected, although we do not need to find it manually. So but we can find it manually also. The various when we put all the values, means square of this, square of this, square, and then add and divide by 4. So we will obtain the value of our first construct 61.97, second construct this. Third method is construct reliability. Construct value be greater than 0.7. It is computed from the factor loading squared for each construct, and then sum of the error variance terms of for a construct using the above formula. The formula is this. This is our formula. So we add all the factor loading value. For example, the construct is attitude. So it has 4 questions. So in the first stage, we add all the factor loading, means these are the factor loading. The 0.817, 0.769, 0.777, 0.785. We add all the factor loading and then square. After adding all the factor loading and then square and then divide by same value, we can see in a denominator. So the 0.817 and this square plus the error term. Error term, it is the 0.333.4. How did we calculate this error term? So we will get error term from the this is our error term. Error it's a error term. Okay, 0.33. It is nothing but just like the attitude. Basically, attitude our the 81. It's just like the dependent variable, and attitude this 0.817, that is the regression coefficient, and the it is our construct attitude, and plus error term. So error term, what is error term? Error term means epsilon. So it is its value 0.33. Okay, this value 0.1 0.33. So how will we calculate this error term? We square this value, factor loading. This is when we square 0.817, then we obtain 0.667, and 1 minus 0.667. So it's our the error term. Error term should be less than 50%. Okay, so this is error term. Now we put all the values in the formula the to find the construct reliability. This is construct reliability formula. So we put all the values of this delta I. Delta means uh, delta error term. Okay, so we put all the values the here, and then obtain the value of construct reliability. So construct reliability here 86.69%, 87.56, 83 point this, 88 point this, and 80.81. Means all the values are above, all exceed the 70% rule of thumb. And after that we find the discriminant validity. Discriminant validity means the extent to which a construct is truly distinct from other construct or not. Okay, so means attitude towards attitude completely distinct or unrelated with the subjective norm, PBC, purchase intention, and purchase fee. So how will we find whether our constructs are distinct, truly distinct from other construct? When all the in this matrix we take two values. One is in a principal diagonal average variance expected value, and off diagonal value. Off diagonal, these are the off diagonal value, means SIC. SIC means squared interconstruct correlation. Means first we take the correlation of subjective norm construct and attitude. We take the correlation of this construct, correlation between the attitude and subjective norm, and then we square it. Okay, and after SIC means squared interconstruct correlation. So off diagonal values basically squared interconstruct correlation, and all the construct correlation should be less than average variance expected, AVE. So here 0.011, it is less than this. 0.006, it is very less. 0.008, 0.008, all the values are less than this. So our model is there is no issue of discriminant validity. Okay. Same criteria we will find for the for structural model. Factor loading and the factor loading and cross loading. Okay, so the difference between the factor loading and cross loading. Okay, your question is difference between factor loading and this. So the when the factor loading, it is simply correlation between the variables. The attitude in this case, it's a factor loading. Factor loading, it's a factor loading of attitude 1. Question number 1 factor loading is 0.817 with attitude. It's simply correlation between the two. Cross loading means when we obtain high value with another construct like 0.714. Okay, so 0.7 because this attitude 1, this variable giving high value uh, under the attitude and high value under the subjective norm. So we cannot decide whether attitude will come under this construct or this construct. It's a problem of cross loading. When one variable gives high value, high factor loading value, two or more than two construct, then it's a problem of cross loading. So how to remove the cross loading? So I told you the varimax rotation. For example, this is my the variable 1 and the value is 0.8 and here 0.7. Okay, when I rotate this matrix 90 degree and then the my it's a perpendicular to this, so the angle between the y and x axis 90 degree. So now the after rotating the uh, vector matrix, then the value of v1 high almost 8, and when I project on a x axis its value 0.1. So we remove the problem of cross loading to by using varimax rotation. Although there is no problem of cross loading in structural equation modeling, because in advance we assume that this variable only and only related to this attitude, unidimensionality or on generic model. So for performing the structural equation modeling or CFA, we need congeneric model, means one variable should be highly related to only one construct and unrelated with the other. It's a assumption of the CFA and structural equation modeling, means it is highly related with, and there is no relationship to this attitude 1 question with the subjective norm, perceived behavior control, purchase intention, purchase behavior. Okay, so it's a concept of the cross loading and the, is it clear Nancy Devi?
Yes, sir.
Okay, ठीक है.